Hello, I'm Sheila. I'm with Stamping Wishes. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today we're going to be doing the Bokeh Technique. This is one of the cards that we did on Friday in my classes, and I thought it'd be a fun technique to also film for you. But this is the front of the card and the inside of the card. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, we're going to be using today probably more stamp sets than I normally would, but I'm doing this because I'm making a sympathy card for a good friend at church. So we're going to be using the Dandelion Wishes, and we'll be using this stamp and this one for our bordering. And then we're going to be using a combination of sending comforting hugs and healing prayers and our sincere condolences out of this one. And then out of the Flourishing Phrases, which is a 2-stamp set, we're going to be using praying that your heart will be lifted by the many loving thoughts that surround you today, which is what we're going to put where I had the sending well wishes there. And then out of the Touches of Texture, which again is a 2-stamp set, I'm going to be using the Dragonfly out of it. Okay. And then we're going to be, and I've got most of these stamps out here right now. All right, then in addition to that, this is the packets that when I have classes each month that the ladies get. It comes with all of their card pieces and card stocks. And so for these are the instruction sheets they get also that will remind them of their measurements, directions, and size. So if you're in the New Braunfels area or close to it and you're interested in joining a class, please contact me on my blog. I have my email connection there, and I'll be glad to talk with you about our classes that we have each month. All right, so I've got 3 sizes of the Whisper White, which it's really important that when you're making these, because the smallest one, which is this one here, which is framed by this next size here, and I'll give you the measurements in a minute, is going to be layering on top of the mint macaron, and this is the one that we're actually going to be doing the sponging and then the Bokeh Technique on. So I'm going to set this one aside. This is going to be our inside card, so again I want to set that aside until we're ready for it. And that leaves us our other 2 pieces that we need to go ahead and adhere. So this is a cardstock basic gray, and it's cut at 4 1/4 by 11. We're going to score it at 5 1/2. And since I don't have my score here, we're just going to burnish it for today. Okay. And then we're going to layer our mint macaron, which is measures, let's see, we've got 5 and looks like 5 3/8 by 4. So let's go ahead and get that one adhered on. Okay, and let's go ahead and get that centered there. Well, it'll be crooked. Let's see if it's too late. No, I didn't push it down, so we're in good shape. Let's see if this is a little straighter. Okay, so we've got that on. Let's go ahead and put the next size, which is our white, and it's going to come right in here with about 1/8 of an inch all the way around it, so you have to make sure you center it well. So let's go ahead and adhere it. Okay, and we'll set this aside for a little bit later when we need it. Okay, let's go ahead and start sponging our colors on. And today we're going to be using mint macaron, and we're going to be using soft sea foam. So let's go ahead and start with the mint macaron. And what we're trying to achieve here is a very soft 2-tone collage of colors and blending them together, which will come back with some white. So I'm going to start sponging off the side there. And we're going to come in with a little bit lighter color and then kind of bring it down. And I do, I think on that one I may have used my daubers on it, but I thought we might try it with the sponges this time and see what we think of it with the sponges. Okay, I'm going to bring some of that color over in here. And to get my measurements out over here where I can tell you what it is that I did. Now we're going to be using the Craft white ink and a sponge as well. This template is made from our window sheets, and what I do is I stamp, I'm sorry, not stamp, but punch. I started off with, let's see, we have a 1 inch, a 1.5 inch, a 3/4 inch, and a 1/2 inch circles that I have punched here. And the purpose of that is we're going to be putting the circles, let me move this up a little bit higher where you can see it. We're going to be putting the circles on. So we want to go ahead and do that because I'm going to want this to dry while we do the inside of the card. So let's go ahead and start one of our bigger circles here. And again, I will like to stamp off a little bit because I can sometimes start with a darker one, then go to a lighter one. I'll go with the lighter one and then a darker one on each of them. And you can lift up your template. Just be careful not to smear this ink because it does take longer to dry and everything. And then we'll put us another larger one, but let's do this one a little bit off. And so we're going to come over here and do some of the colors. And what's nice about these little templates is that they clean off really nice, and you can use them over and over again. So I think we're good with the big ones. So let's go ahead and start with some of the smaller ones. So we're going to, again, I'm taking a little bit of the ink off before I go, and some of them I will brighten up a little bit. You'll see how I do that. In fact, let's go ahead and do it right over here on this one. And what I start doing is more of the blobbing than I'm doing of the rubbing the color off. So that'll give it just a little bit, see, as you can see, a little bit more of a brightness. And let's bring one of the smaller ones right in here to make a cluster. And again, I didn't stamp off any of my color because I want this one to be bright. And I'm just bouncing it up and down to get as much of the intensity of the color onto this other one, since I have a light and a medium, and now I have a real bright. And there we go. So let's go ahead and bring this one off of here, and we're going to do the same thing. I want a little bit brighter, so we're going to bounce up and down to get the color there and get a little bit more tints. And as you can see, that's much brighter there. And then we're going to go with let's go with this small one right here, I think. And I want that one to be a little bit of a brightness and density. So let's bring that in. Okay, and then let's go ahead and rub some of this off that I have over here. Let's bring in, I think, a small one here. And we'll just kind of wipe this one on and off a little bit so it's not overly bright. And then I think we'll take 2 small ones down here, and then I think we can call it a day. Okay, so here again, I don't want to get too much there, but on the next one, I'll make it brighter. Okay, so let's bring that in there. Okay, let's see how that looks. Yeah, like the way this looks. Okay, let's go ahead and set this off to the side so I can clean it after I finish the filming and wipe off some of the ink that's on my hands so we don't get it. And then we're going to set it off to the side. There we go. Let's put this off. Okay. And while we're doing that, then we can go ahead and go on to the inside of our card, which will be sponging a little bit of mint macaron. I'm going to set this over here so we don't get anything on it, and bring in my inside card piece right here. And we're going to use our mint macaron and do some sponging around the edges, and then we'll stamp with some basic gray ink the rest of it. And we'll set some of that up on our Stamparatus to do. So let's go ahead and take some of that ink off and then apply it in the corner areas. For those that have or haven't bought their Stamparatus yet, Stampin' Up! Has come up. There can't be ordered right now, but there will be available soon. Some accessory pieces like extra magnets. We'll also have extra plates that you can purchase. You'll also have, they've come up with grid paper that has the measurements on it and fits exactly into your Stamparatus, so you can use it to help you layer your stamps in at the right measurement that you want them to. And so that will be available soon. Right now they have some designer paper going on, dashing along, which you can get with any orders that are greater than $2.50. You're allowed 1 pack per party. And so anyway, there's some good things happening with Stampin' Up! Right now. So if you're interested on a online party, or as I mentioned earlier, if you're in the area and you'd like to have give your friends a party and do a little stamp and takeaway project, we can definitely line something of that effect up. So let's go ahead and close up our mint macaron and go on to our stamping now. So I'm going to go ahead for the greeting that's going to be inside, because I'm going to have 2 pieces. Let's go ahead and get them lined up and ready to be stamped here. Okay, so I like to use, again, the grid paper and line it up with that, so I know at least as I'm laying stuff on, it's going to be fairly straight. And we want to come in here with our sincere condolences, and I want to put my greetings before I start decorating with my dragonfly and some of the dandelion puffs and stuff, because that way I can form around this without interfering with the design. Let's see if I can get that a little bit closer here. That looks good. Okay. All right, let's get these are some of our new stamp pads here if you haven't gotten any yet. And let's get some of the loose ink that was out there. They're really nice. They open like a compact, and when they're new, they're a little bit tougher. Like this one is brand new, and then you just slide it in and stamp. So I'm going to put another stamp pad up underneath my little window here to help with the stamping the ink on. And you want to, when you stamp, and especially with a new one, don't be squishing or pushing down real hard. You just barely, you kind of let the weight of the stamp come down on it, and you're just guiding it, because if you do, you're going to get ink all around that stamp, and that's going to get on your project. So again, light-handedness when it comes to applying your ink onto your stamps. Give your 10-second rule and let the ink transfer off onto your cardstock. Let's see if we got a good imprint. I'm very pleased with that. All of the colors, I don't think we need to redo any of these. So let's go ahead and take these off. Since I've got some of this wipe here, I'll just go ahead real quickly and wipe that off and set these aside. And then we're going to take this out until we get ready to stamp our front side, and I'm going to use a stamping block to apply the rest of it. So we'll go ahead and bring this in here and just make sure we're set. And let's go ahead with our, again, bringing in our basic gray, and we're going to put some of the little dandelion tufts out. I'm not really sure what you call them, seedlings or something, but we're going to put them off at an angle down this side, again allowing it to transfer off, and then we'll kind of let's angle here a little bit so we can come around the wording. Again, let your ink transfer. Okay, and then we're going to stamp here. And then let's take a last one right here. Okay, beautiful. Okay, let's set this to the side, and again we will wipe off any ink that may have transferred onto our glass. And next we're going to be taking our dragonfly and letting him fly in and out. So let's make sure we've got him well inked and bring him down. And then let's bring him a little off the page. And then let's take and bring him just where his tail and wings are flying off. Okay, so let's go ahead and close our ink pad for a second, and let's see if our other piece is dry, and we can go ahead and place this one into our card. Let's set that aside. We'll be using it again. And here's our card piece. So let's go ahead and apply it in. Didn't that come out beautiful? Yeah, I like that real well. Okay. Good. Okay, let's go ahead and line up our next, use our Stamparatus again. We're going to be placing this one with a little bit more design, and I think this is pretty good. I might be a little bit damp, and we'll just have to be careful when we're stamping, but we'll go ahead and adhering it. Hopefully we won't smear anything. Let's go ahead and put this down here for right now. Okay, and let's put in our large dandelion. And what we're going to do, let's do our greeting first, because that way we can again set our stuff around it based on where our greeting is. Yeah, that looks good. So let's go ahead and press down on that. And let's, based on where that is, we probably can stamp this as well since it'll be the same color. I think that would probably be a good, let's see if that'll, yeah, that'll be nice there. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and bring it off, and we'll bring in one of the other stamp pads to hold up the window there. All right, so let's go ahead and ink it up. Again, I'm just barely patting down because this is a new stamp pad, and I definitely don't want to have it overly inked and on the rest of my stamps. Okay. All right, press down so that we can get a good transfer of the ink. Hold for about 10 seconds. Get a little bit of pressure all over the stamp so that they're getting equal transfer of the ink. Beautiful. Okay, let's go ahead and take this out because the rest of it will be freehanding with our stamp and blocks. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, we want to bring in a couple of our, see, we won't need that one. Let's get our basic gray out. We're going to bring our dragonfly back in and put a couple of him or her, whichever she is, he or she is, and stamp this one in. Okay, this one looks like it's gotten a little bit of ink on the edge, so I'm going to go ahead and clean it off real quick. So we make sure that we okay, pat that on there. And I think this would be probably a good place right around here. Beautiful. Let's put one up here, flying in. And I think that's one of these situations where less is better. So let's go ahead and stop at that point. And now what I'm going to do is instead of having the dandelion kind of up into the air as it is there, I'm going to bring a little bit of a stem down to stabilize it a little bit. So we're going to take and bring him right kind of behind there. And we'll assume that the stem of it would come out here and come down there. So that way we have that. Now what we want to do is put some little flight indications in here. Let me make sure I've got the ink off of me. This is a basic gray marker that I'm using here, and I'm using the small. And so we're going to go in here and put a few of the little dotted lines to indicate motion and flying that we're going to be doing. Okay, and then this one, let's go ahead and bring it just off the page here. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish this up and apply the front to it. And again, because it might be, I'm going to kind of lay this down just to put this, well, I tell you what, yeah, just in case that white ink is still a little damp, which I think it is. That way it'll hopefully come off on this and not onto any of the cardstock that we're working with. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring this on over here. And again, because we're keeping just about 1/8 of an inch, or maybe that's really more of a 1/16 of an inch around the frame, I want to be careful that I get it all the way around. And let's go ahead and pat it down so we don't smear our card. And there's our card for today. So I think it came out beautiful. Here's the one we did now. And here's the one we did the other day. And this one is sending well wishes your way. And then the inside it's thanking of you. So it could be used for several different things. So again, thank you for stopping by. And if you like this video and like to see more, please subscribe below. And also my link to my blog is there. So please drop on over. And I hope you have a blessed day. Until next time.